Hello, Friday. Real life parenting here. We're going to be looking beneath the behavior. So, hello, parents and caregivers. Kat here, that parenting coach. Can I ask you something? Have you ever had one of those moments where your child does something and before you even realize it, you've already reacted? You know, they've been yelling and screaming for like the last hour. Or maybe they're slamming doors. Maybe they refuse to listen, just won't do anything. Maybe they throw their backpacks across the room. Right? And your brain immediately goes to something along the lines like, how do I make this stop? How do I stop this behavior? And believe me, I think we've all been there, friends. Right? And I know I have. I had 3 boys. So, for a long time, I can say that that's where my focus always was too. How do I stop the behavior? Stop hitting your brother. Stop picking your nose. Stop jumping on the couch and climbing the walls. How do I get them to stop yelling or screaming for hours? Oh, what about the arguing? That constant bickering back and forth. Or what about tears? Right? Oh, and we've all had to witness the meltdowns, the severe dysregulation, usually in public places. And my favorite, the eye roll. Yep, that's a huge trigger. What about just the out and out refusal? They're like, nope, and that's the end of that. And then, somewhere along my journey, learning to work with children and families, I learned something that completely changed the way that I see behavior. Someone just simply asked me a question that I'll never forget. And they just said, what if the behavior isn't actually the problem? I remember thinking, what do you mean? What do you mean? The behavior is causing like a lot of problems right now. Of course, it's causing the problem. That's the reason why we're here. But the more that I learned about the brain and the nervous system, and the more that I understood trauma and how the brain develops, and then about attachment and how we so desperately need those early years. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the nervous system. When I found out that their nervous system isn't even developed and that they depend on ours, and it's just the more I realized behavior is often the messenger. It's like the smoke from the fire, if we want to look at it that way. Ooh, that's a good one. So imagine you're sitting at home one evening, petting your cat. And suddenly, as it happens, suddenly, beep, 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 the smoke alarm starts going off. Yeah. Now, you wouldn't grab a chair and take the batteries out and say, well, problem solved. Right? Not at first you wouldn't. Of course not. There's a beep, beep, beep happening, my friend. You're going to start looking for the source of the smoke for the fire, right? You know, if we look at children's behavior, it's going to work the same way like that. Let's take a deep breath in and out, because every breath counts. We look at the yelling, the tears, the biting, the hitting, and the stabbing, the threatening, the eye rolls, the whole list of behaviors. Can't forget the refusal to do anything. That right there, that's the smoke, right? And so that behavior, that smoke is telling us that something underneath needs our attention. So maybe your kiddo is overwhelmed. Maybe they're feeling anxious, right? Big emotions, man. Maybe they're just exhausted after trying to hold it together all day at school. That takes a lot. Or maybe they're just feeling really disconnected. They don't know what's going on. And they simply could be frustrated because they just don't yet have the words to tell you what is wrong. So, now, does that mean we ignore the behavior? Oh no, absolutely not. Not at all, my friends. Nope. Children still need boundaries. They need limits. They really do. They need guidance. And that's what the big people, the adults, are supposed to do. Because they still need us to teach them, right? But when we pause just long enough to understand what's underneath the behavior first, everything just changes. For real. So I invite you, instead of asking things like, how do I stop this? We can maybe begin to ask things like, what might my child be trying to tell me? What does their nervous system need right now? That one question really changed the way that I support parents and caregivers and the way that I parented. Just the way I support families in general. Because honestly, the way I see children, because when children feel understood, they are so much more likely to feel safe. And when they feel safe, wow, that's when they're able to learn, to connect, to grow, to be the amazing little humans that they are. So, remember, my friends, behavior is communication, always. And connection is going to prepare the brain to learn. And then the correction will teach, right? Let's take one more breath in and out. That's the order, my friends. Children borrow our calm before they can borrow our wisdom. And I'm Kat, that parenting coach. You got this.